During Inside Xbox last month, Phil Spencer made the announcement that they were bringing back XO, which is a fan event that Microsoft used to run during the OG Xbox era all the way till about midway through the Xbox 360 generation. This year it's taking place in Mexico City and it's dubbed X018, and it's been a long time since we've seen one of these, 8 years to be in fact. So I think it's a pretty big event. I'm expecting a lot of things from Xbox, and I wanted to put out my predictions out there just in case things start to leak. So if you enjoyed this video by the end, make sure you give it a like, and let's dive into it, shall we? What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, man with the million, back again with another video. And this one is kind of hard to predict. It's not your usual E3 conference where it's pretty cut and dry. This is a talk show or a extended episode of Inside Xbox that's 2 hours long, so I'm not exactly sure how everything is structured. But I did some research to see what exactly XO has produced in the past. Now, the very first XO, XO2, was where Microsoft announced the acquisition of Rare, which Phil Spencer made sure to mention when announcing the comeback of XO, leading to speculation that Microsoft would be making a studio acquisition. But that's not all that's gone on during XO. In XO5, Microsoft revealed the entire launch lineup as well as the launch window games for the Xbox 360. In XO6, they showed off a ton of games. Just listen to these games that they showed off. Fable 2, Halo 3, Forza Motorsport 2, Crackdown, Shadowrun, Project Gotham Racing 4, Viva Pinata, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto Episodes from Liberty City, Mass Effect, Alan Wake, Gears of War, and they also had some pretty big announcements. It's where they first announced Halo Wars, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. They announced the exclusivity for BioShock as well as Splinter Cell Conviction. So early on, it was a pretty big event. Now, the last one that Microsoft held was XO10, and during that event, they showed off Halo Reach, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, Fable 3, Final Fantasy 13, Crackdown 2, Alan Wake, Lost Planet 2, Game Room, Perfect Dark, Scrap Metal, and Toy Soldiers. So it's a show where Microsoft shows off a lot of first-party games and has some pretty big announcements, and in my opinion, they wouldn't be bringing it back if they weren't going to do right by the legacy of it. So I'm actually pretty hyped for the show. I'm not going to lie. And normally, I'm the type of person who cautions you guys about getting excited for stuff. I'm usually the one out there saying like, hey, don't get hyped for Gamescom, don't get hyped for E3, it's just going to disappoint you. But if you keep your expectations low and it's a great show, then you'll probably be happy. With this one, I'm excited from the get-go, and I hope that Microsoft has some really cool things to show. So let's get into what I think will be there, and we'll just start it off with Microsoft's first party. Phil mentioned that first party was going to lead the charge, and I think it will here because we're going to get a heavy dose of the games that are coming next year. So for instance, I know everybody wants to know about Crackdown 3. Yes, Crackdown 3 is going to be there, and I believe this will be the first time they will show off the multiplayer to the world. That 100% cloud destruction thing that people have been wanting to hear about, wanting to see in action, is going to be shown off in that 5v5 mode or whatever they built for it, and they'll obviously give the release date. It's the next Xbox exclusive set to come out. I think it's gonna hit February 15th. But yes, Crackdown 3 is gonna be there, and hopefully it shows off really well. Next up, you have Ori and the Will of the Wisp. That will be there as well. It's a game that Microsoft has a lot of faith in. It's one of my favorite games of the gen, well, at least the sequel to one of my favorite games of the gen. I would expect new gameplay shown from it. Probably the announcement that it's also coming to Xbox Game Pass, because not a lot of people know currently Ori and the Will of the Wisps isn't set to launch on Xbox Game Pass. The deal they made was before that was the thing. And if you watch all the trailers, it doesn't mention that. But I believe here, when you're in front of this huge audience of Xbox fans, rabid Xbox fans, 10,000 of them, You're going to put out a new excellent trailer, and then you're going to make the announcement that's going to be in Game Pass day one, and then you'll give a release date. With Crackdown coming in February, I would expect Ori and the Will of the Wisps to maybe launch in April, although I wouldn't be surprised if it came out sometime after E3. And of course, then we have Battletoads, which was announced this past E3. It's being made by Dallas Studios. We don't really know anything about it. We don't really have any images of what the game looks like or what the gameplay is, but I think it'll get its first unveiling here, bringing back these classic rare characters that Microsoft has teased for the last number of years, being in, Killer Instinct and things like that. So we'll get our first glimpse of gameplay there. And that kind of brings us to maybe the last game launching for Microsoft in 2019 exclusive-wise, and that would be Gears of War 5. I expect there to be new Gears 5 info. Rod Ferguson is set to be at the event. The question is, what are they going to show? Are they going to show a new story trailer, which is something I'm really interested in? Or will they show off the multiplayer for the first time? Maybe they'll do both, but I don't think they'll do both. I think they'll probably show, if I had to guess, another story trailer. Maybe showcase how this game is more open than the previous Gears of Wars, get people excited for the story they tell, and then they can do a multiplayer reveal sometime closer. Maybe announce a multiplayer beta date. That potentially is something they can do, but either way, Gears of War 5 will be there. Now, we know for sure that Halo Infinite will not be at XO, unless, of course, they're pulling our chain by saying, don't expect Halo. The community manager, people at 343, they've gone on record saying that Halo Infinite won't be there, and you know what, that's fine. That game's probably not coming out until 2020. We've already seen the trailer for it at this year's E3. You don't really kind of need to show it again or take away from the other games that you are going to show. Because basically, in my opinion, this XO event is about starting the excitement for Xbox again after, you could argue, the dismal last couple years of exclusives. Microsoft's recently bought some studios. They have a lot of games in the pipeline. You have a new gen coming along, and Microsoft kind of needs to restart that fire. And I believe this is kind of the first step in that. You're going to be in front of a large audience of rabid Xbox fans cheering every announcement. And this is kind of just the first step in doing that. So that's kind of my whole thing here. Now, they're also going to show off, in my opinion, the new Sea of Thieves DLC, probably give a date and a name for whatever that is, as well as the first expansion for Forza Horizon 4, which just came out, and the first expansion is dated, or at least expected to arrive around December, so expect that as well. Now, some other things that I'm not really sure about is the game Ashen. Now, they are adamant that Ashen is still coming in 2018, which led me to believe that this was going to be a available now type of announcement at XO. Like, oh, in Ashen, they'll show off maybe a demo, and then they'll be like, by the way, you can play it right now as part of Xbox Game Pass in a regular release. Since then, they've denied that they don't have an announcement for the game in any way. It's just going to be at the show for people to play. I find that really weird. If you're being insistent that it's a 2018 release, and at this point there's only, November and December left? I would imagine if it's not a shadow release, you are at least going to get a release date in December. So that's what I'm going to go with. My gut says they're just pulling everybody's chain here, but I still believe you'll get a release date announcement probably for December. You know what? Screw that. The game's getting released that day. I think they're just pulling everybody's leg. But they're confident Ashen's coming out. Below, I think, might be showed off as well. They said it's supposed to come out in 2018. We haven't heard anything since then. Well, this would be the time to show it off. And I don't expect Last Night, which is a game they showed off last E3. That game is not anywhere close to being finished, so I wouldn't expect to see anything there. Now, another thing that I think is going to be talked about is Xbox Game Pass in a big way. Obviously, Ashen will play into that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they announced some form of Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass for Windows 10. That might be a thing. And Another thing I kind of have in thought in my head is Microsoft doing a demo of Project xCloud. Now, they announced this 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was in response to Google's Project Stream. Microsoft was working on this way of being able to stream console quality AAA games to any device, mainly your phone or your tablet or PC. Now, I think this announcement was supposed to have been held for X018, but Microsoft pushed it up to counter Google. But I expect them to talk about it again, and maybe it'd be a good time to showcase the technology. Maybe show Forza Horizon 4 running on a phone, maybe show even Gears of War 5 running on a phone, kind of just be like, hey, this is real, this is what you should expect from it, this is how it works. And then you can even have demo stations set up for the fans to check it out during FanFest. But I kind of expect xCloud to be talked about, as that is one of Microsoft's major initiatives for next year. Now, one of the other things that Phil talked about during this Inside Xbox episode where they announced the return of XO was keyboard and mouse, and they're definitely going to talk about it again. Now, keyboard and mouse support is currently in preview right now with Warframe, but I honestly think they're going to announce more games that will support it for the Xbox One, namely Age of Empires 4, as well as Gears Tactics. I believe Gears Tactics and Age of Empires will be coming to Xbox, and you can play them with your keyboard or mouse. I'm also of the opinion that Gears Tactics will have a controller mode where you can eventually just, if you don't have keyboard or mouse or don't want to play it that way, you can still buy it on your Xbox and play it with your controller. But I think we're going to see that there, and they're going to detail more of their plans about the whole keyboard and mouse thing. Which then leads us to a couple, back compat announcements. Now, originally one of my predictions that we would get the next batch of Xbox 360 back compat Xbox One X enhanced games. But Microsoft literally just announced 4 of them the other day in Left 4 Dead 2, Left 4 Dead, the Valve Orange Box thing, as well as Portal. I still think they're going to announce a new set of games there. I'm just not sure which one, but I'm pretty confident that Microsoft is going to use this event to announce the next wave of OG Xbox games. It's been a little bit of time since we've got any announcements of OG games, and what better way to, announce the next set of titles than at this fan event. It just makes total sense. Which brings us to the third-party stuff here. Now, this is... it's kind of tough thinking about what third-party games are going to be there, especially if they're going to be unannounced games, right? Phil Spencer did say that third-party was going to be there, and I fully expect Devil May Cry 5 to show up, as Microsoft has a deal with them. I fully expect Battlefield 5 to show up as well, as that game is launching like a week after XO, so of course another way to showcase Battlefield 5, maybe show off the single player. In fact, maybe they could even do a demo of Battle Royale or something, just like a quick video to show how that works, get people hyped, as people are really seeming to enjoy Call of Duty Blackout, as well as Jump Force. I think Microsoft has a deal with them for that game as well, so I'd expect that game to be shown off as well. And I have a couple question marks here, because there's rumors going around about a new Splinter Cell, and I love Splinter Cell. I've been calling for Splinter Cell to come back for God knows how long now. Please give me Splinter Cell. But something tells me that this is just more wishful thinking. I want it to be true in every way imaginable, but I don't think Ubisoft has the resources to make it yet. The studio that made Splinter Cell Blacklist, Ubisoft Toronto, just released the Battle of Atlantis game, or the Atlantis game, flying game or whatever that just came out, so I'm not sure what studio would be making it, and if they do make it, I'm not sure it's going to be Xbox exclusive, so I don't think Splinter Cell is going to be there, even though, God, I would love to be wrong on this, but yeah, I don't think Splinter Cell is going to be there. I don't really think a lot of third parties are going to be there either, as like Resident Evil is with Sony, Kingdom Hearts, I guess Kingdom Hearts could be there, but I just don't see it being there. Justice League, there's that rumor that Warner Brothers is going to be there, and you know what? I want to see that game, and this is a pretty big event, so yeah, why not? Whatever this game is from Rocksteady, whether it's a Justice League game or a Batman family game like Arkham Universe, I think we'll be there, and then get a big reaction from the crowd, which is what these publishers and stuff want to, that's what they want out of it. Remember, since there's no PlayStation experience this year, all eyes are going to be on Microsoft and what they have to show, and you can get a lot of eyes on your product, especially if you do a good reveal. Be like, oh man, we have a new Batman game. You get a ton of press. I also think that Phil's been going out making those trips to Japan, and they're going to make some sort of announcement that a former PlayStation exclusive game that was kind of Japanese-centric, a la Nier Automata, which came to Xbox recently, will be making its jump to Xbox for the first time. A lot of people speculate Atlus's Persona games. I'm not so sure about that. Something tells me, though, we might be looking at Yakuza jumping over. There's been some talk about it, how Xbox wants it, and the creator was like, oh, it's kind of too bad there, but I don't know. I kind of feel like at least some game's going to make the jump, and I wouldn't be surprised it's Yakuza, so I'll make that prediction. Now, this will lead us towards the end of the show, where I think Microsoft is going to announce at least 2 studio acquisitions, if not 3. Now, one of them for sure is going to be Obsidian. The other 2, it's anybody's guess, really. It could be Sumo Digital, the people behind Crackdown, which I would not be surprised about. It could be Splash Damage, as there's rumors about them. Asobo, Creative Assembly, Moon Studios, Capcom Vancouver. Now, I don't think Moon Studios is gonna happen. I could see Capcom Vancouver happening, although I'm not really sure why you'd want to get them, as I don't think the games they made, the Dead Rising series, were any good. Creative Assembly, they've worked with Microsoft in the past. There's talk that Playful is making a game like Banjo for Microsoft, which I could see easily being announced at this event, but they've denied a purchase. But what if they come out and say they bought Sega? And I know you're like, whoa, Rand, come on, Sega. And personally, I don't think that's the case either. But I don't think they'll buy Sega. But I'm just kind of throwing out names here as like Obsidian is, in my opinion, pretty much a 100% done deal. But I don't think Microsoft's done with those studios. I think they're going to have another announcement. I'm just not sure which one of these other studios it could be. So I'm just kind of throwing out names of like the rumors that I've heard. But I don't think Microsoft will buy Moon Studios or Sega. I think there's some possibilities for the other ones I mentioned for sure, but definitely not those. And then, of course, this leads us to the future of Microsoft's first party. The excitement that I talked about of Microsoft starting this whole thing and getting people excited for what the future of Microsoft Studios holds, which is why if the rumors of Playful making Banjo are true, this would be a perfect event to bring that back, although I don't see that happening. However, I do think we will get an announcement of either Ninja Theory's new game, or, and I think this is the one that's actually going to happen, I think we finally get the announcement that Playground Games is working on Fable. It seems to be the worst kept secret in the video game industry. And at E3, Phil Spencer did say that they were going to share more info about their new project later. And what perfect time than a fan event in Mexico with 10,000 very, very enthusiastic Xbox fans going crazy over any of these announcements. This, of course, is assuming everything's going to be live, which I think it is in front of the crowd. But it's all meant to build hype for the Xbox brand, to get people excited about the future of what Xbox is doing. Microsoft has a lot of confidence in Playground, so if they show off an amazing looking Fable reboot by Playground Games, it will get people talking. And I really do think Fable will be announced there, but that's not it. I also think they're going to tease Xbox Scarlet again. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility because they literally talked about it at E3. And like I said, this is a fan event. They're going to want to get people really hyped up. So I think they mention it somehow. You don't show it, you don't even maybe give a name, but you do talk about next gen and how powerful it's going to be and things like that to get the internet talking some more. So those are my predictions. You know, every game that Microsoft is putting out in 2019 is going to be there with some new stuff. There's going to be some interesting third-party announcements, which I believe a big AAA game from a big publisher will finally get revealed. There's going to be some studio acquisitions, Obsidian, and who knows for the other two, but I'm at least expecting 2 studio acquisitions, possibly 3. There's going to be some hardware stuff with keyboard and mouse and games announced for that. Some talk of Game Pass things, and yeah, I think the big news will be Fable finally revealed, and it's going to be a pretty exciting XO. Those are my predictions for the video. I know this one turned out a little bit long, but I wanted to thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments below. What are your predictions for the show? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. If it's your first time here at the channel, hit the subscribe button. Share this out on Twitter and social media with your pals so everybody can check it out. Hit the notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you always want to get immediately notified when I drop videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.